You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. I'm your host, Chris Shamefelt, and joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is 2016 NFL Draft prospect. He's Matt Tralli, the wide receiver of Marist College. And, Matt, we appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. Can you believe that your collegiate career is all over and now here you are training and getting ready for an opportunity at the next level?
Appreciate you having me on, Chris. It's a crazy thing that, my college career is over. I had a great 4 years at Marist College, but I'm definitely excited and ready to start a new chapter in my life and on to the next level.
And talk about your journey to Marist College, Matt. I mean, coming out of high school, doing some research, I mean, it sure looks like you had a successful high school football career. I see that you were named All-State, and you were the North County News Player of the Year. How did you ultimately land at Marist, and were there any other programs interested in you?
Yes. I had a pretty successful high school career. But yeah, so the recruiting process went. Crowan's a small town in Westchester County, New York. But it's just, as being a small high school, recruiting was tough. Never really had anyone come from Crowan to go anywhere, especially Division I. So recruiting was tough. But luckily my high school quarterback went to Marist College, 2 years before I came, and he really kind of lured me into there, considering he was my quarterback. I've been playing with him for 4 years, but he actually went to Marist to play safety. So he really, really lured me, and plus it's only a good hour from Crowan, so that's probably how I got to Marist. But other schools that were recruiting me were, Monmouth, Temple was recruiting me for a little bit, and Hobart, D3 up in upstate New York.
Yeah, absolutely. And people who follow the draft closely are probably very familiar with Hobart from last year. Obviously, they had the offensive lineman Ali Marpet, get drafted early in last year's draft. But go ahead.
That's funny you say that because I played Ali Marpet in high school. He's from Westchester as well. Yep, I know him. Okay. I know him pretty well, actually. I played him in basketball and football for 4 years.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So talk about playing at Marist College, though. I mean, obviously, being from New York, what was it like to kind of stay at home? Like you said, it wasn't too far away from your hometown. And obviously, when you think of, colleges in New York or college football programs in New York, I mean, the first one to come to mind is Syracuse, obviously. Obviously, you weren't playing at the big, FBS programs or anything like that. But what was it like to kind of stay put in New York and, play for the Marist Red Fox?
It was great, actually. My older brother, is a year older than me, Joe Tralli. He actually went to Marist with me as well. He went to Hudson Valley Community College at JUCO, and he got recruited with me at Marist. So I actually was able to play with him, and he was a wide receiver as well. So all 4 years I was playing with him, and it was great because my family, having both of us play there, all my family lives in New York, so they were able to come to pretty much every home game that I had. So it was a great experience for that. But yeah, like you said, Syracuse is a big school in New York. I would have loved to play there. But yeah, I mean, as everyone says, New York football is, not the greatest. But I think there's a lot of hidden talent in New York that a lot of, these big Division I schools don't see. And I think Marist has a lot of guys that are like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a couple months ago, I was actually able to interview your teammate, Zach Adler, safety from Marist, and I definitely want to ask you about him in just a moment. But, sounds as if you had a pretty solid support system there at Marist, obviously playing alongside with your brother there as well. I think I got to think that was something that you couldn't have even imagined probably coming out of high school. Now you did go on to redshirt your first year in 2011, and then really from 2012 on, you were the team's starting wide receiver. If you can, talk about that very first collegiate touchdown you scored against Bucknell.
Yeah, that was a great experience. I worked my way up after freshman year because, I mean, if you could tell, my high school career, I was a running back, so I didn't really play too much receiver in high school. So transitioning to be a receiver in college, especially that first year, was very tough for me. Didn't know many of the plays and routes, but I worked very hard all winter, all summer long, leading it into that 2012 season. And I got actually that first game against Bryant before Bucknell, I had a huge game. I had 4 catches for 96 yards, and I actually had a touchdown that game, but it got called back for a clipping. But yeah, so Bucknell that next game, that first touchdown was great. I mean, to even think, especially that year before, that I was going to score a touchdown within the first 2 games of my collegiate career was honestly really special, especially it being at home as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was only as a redshirt freshman. As you said, you were able to score a touchdown that first game of yours. It got called back. The next game, you come right back, and you make another appearance in the end zone. And again, it's really funny how things worked out. I mean, 4 years later, here you are now as the Marist Red Fox's all-time leader in receptions with 202 and reception yards with 2,300 yards. And as you mentioned, I mean, in high school, you're playing running back. So here you are, making the transition to wide receiver, and you have your name in the Marist record books. Did you ever think that, when you first decided that you would attend Marist and play for the Red Fox as much as you did individually? I mean, I know you guys didn't have the greatest team success throughout your time there, but could you have asked for anything more throughout your collegiate career?
Yeah, no, honestly, I had no idea that I would have, had the awards I have had at Marist, especially being a running back coming in and playing receiver. It was tough. I never thought I would actually, break records. So, I mean, I worked very, very hard to accomplish those. But I never imagined that I'd, be where I am today. But, I got to thank God and, for everything He's done for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said a moment ago, Matt, a couple months ago, I was able to interview one of your teammates, Zach Adler, who of course is one of the top safeties in the Pioneer Conference. Talk about some of the battles that you guys had in practice. I mean, you have any good stories to tell?
Yeah, actually, so since I play in the slot most of the time, he always lined up against me. And we've had our battles, but that was the great competition, at Marist, especially having, Zach's one of my best friends too at Marist. So it was great to have him, and we can push each other to be better. I think that's what helped both of us, become such great players at Marist. Just being able to line up against each other every day in practice. It was a great experience and it helped both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, 2 key pieces that are going to be moving on from the Marist football team, obviously looking for a shot at the next level. I mean, talk about the future of the Marist football team if you can. Obviously, you two aren't the only 2 that are leaving, but you 2 are a big part, or were a big part of that team.
Yeah, no, the Marist program is definitely on the rise. We had 2 NFL players actually in the NFL right now, Terrence Fidei, who's at the Dolphins, defensive end, and then Jason Myers, the kicker for Jacksonville. But yeah, the program's definitely on the up. I mean, I had a lot of, especially the offensive side, I had a lot of quarterbacks when I was there. But they have a really good quarterback there, and he's young. He's only a redshirt freshman. Just got his first year playing this year, Mike White. And he's got a very strong arm. And they've got the recruiting has gotten a lot better since I've been there, and they have a lot of good talent coming in. So I think in a couple of years, even next year, you never know, they'll be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely got to keep an eye out on the Marist football team. Again, he's 2016 NFL draft prospect Matt Tralli, the wide receiver out of Marist College. of the Pioneer Conference, joining me here on the CS podcast. And Matt, what would you say is your biggest strength as a wide receiver? And obviously now we got a lot of downtime, although you are training and preparing for your pro days, combine, stuff like that. But what would you say is something that you're going to take some time to try and get better at as well?
I think what I'm going to try and get better at is, really, really perfecting my route running, especially because, the NFL routes and the plays are, completely different than college. Speed of the game is a lot different. So I'm really trying to perfect my routes and my quickness in and out of cuts, especially playing in the slot position. I think that's where the mismatches are with, safeties and bigger safeties and linebackers. I can use my quickness in and out of cuts and routes to catch some of them off guard and make some big plays. So I think definitely route running and then obviously, the speed.
Mm-hmm. All right, now I got to think that, it's every collegiate athlete's dream to obviously get an opportunity at the next level. I got to think that's the reason why you play the game, obviously, as well for the education at the college that you play for as well. But no matter what level of college football you play, I have to think that it's always the dream to get a shot at the next level. Did you ever think that you would even be this close to achieving that dream, though? I mean, obviously we're not there yet, but to even reach this point, I mean, training for your pro day, you got 4 years of college ball under your belt, D1 AA ball under your belt at that. When did you realize that, you do feel that you have what it takes to play in the league and that you're going to give this whole draft process a shot?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you can always dream as a kid that you'd grow up and play, a professional sport. I mean, I always did as a kid. So, I mean, it's definitely humbling that I'm able to be at this point, though I've never really, actually thought I would be in this position. But yeah, so just training for that it's very tough. It's a long process, but I'm definitely ready, to get that going and hopefully, find myself in the NFL.
Absolutely. Now, Matt, I'm a big fan of FCS football, so I am familiar with the Pioneer League, and I got to ask you, I'm quite familiar with teams such as Dayton and Campbell. Throughout your time playing college ball over the last 4 years, who would you say is the best single player that you've had to go up against? I mean, is there anybody specific throughout that time that really stands out?
I mean, I don't know anyone really specific, but, tough teams we play were, Dayton was tough this year, but I would say, really over the 4 years, the two tough teams we played in our conference were definitely Jacksonville and San Diego. I mean, mm-hmm. I could count on my fingers how many points we've lost against Jacksonville and San Diego, which is pretty crazy because those are two top teams in the PFL. And, the past 4 years we've had numerous close games with them, and which are moments I always remember, although we did, unfortunately lose, but they were great games and they were great opponents. So I'd say Jacksonville and San Diego were definitely the best.
All right, sounds good. And as you said, I mean, the two top teams in the conference. How about this? What would you say is the most memorable play that you've made throughout your time at Marist? I mean, here we are, 5-10 years down the road. What's going to be the first play that comes to mind?
First play that comes to mind, honestly, is that play against Bryant, that first, my first collegiate game, getting an opportunity to, obviously almost score a touchdown was, a play I'll always remember just because it was my first game and I was, it was one of my first touches and I would never have imagined that, it was going to be, it was at least an 80-yard play. Scrambled down the sideline. I had no recollection that I would, make a play like that, and so that really springed me forward for the next, 3-4 years. So I think that's the best play. Remember.
It sounds like it was a big confidence booster for you, not only that redshirt freshman season of yours, but sounds like a play that you've really carried on throughout the rest of collegiate football career as well. And Bryant University, they're another team that has really turned things around with their football program again. He is the wide receiver, Matt Tralli, the wide receiver out of Marist College, joining me here on the CS podcast. presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible as he gets ready for the 2016 NFL Draft. And, Matt, talk about what you've been doing over the last few months, where you've been training at, some of the things that you're doing in these training sessions, and so on.
Yes, so I'm down in Davie, Florida. I'm at Marist, which is, a very high-praised training facility where, guys like Frank Gore, Wes Welker, Colin Kaepernick, all these guys have trained here and, have obviously gone on to the NFL. So I've been training down here, and also, like I said, I've been working with Wes Welker and Kelly Washington, also a former NFL receiver, on the game of football and running routes and whatnot. But also, the speed and strength that I'm learning from Pete Bomarito down here is, it's a great experience, and I'm very humbled and to get this going.
Yeah, and all right, I did not know that you've been working. I did not know Wes Welker and Kelly Washington were also down there as well. Pete Bomarito obviously has done great things down there, like you mentioned. I mean, some of the best come from there. What being a wide receiver, I mean, I got to think you're picking Wes Welker and Kelly Washington's mind all the time. What are some things that you've learned from them throughout this time being with them down in Florida?
Just the route running itself, all the NFL routes that you have to be running at a pro day or at a combine, and what to expect within those routes. They've taught me a lot, as well as what a DB is thinking, because with both of those two players combined, I mean that's like 20 years of experience in the NFL. So I'm listening to everything they say, picking up everything they can teach me. So the stuff they teach me is unreal. I never thought I would be able to learn stuff like this.
And how I don't know if weird is the right word to use, but what's it like? You're trying to kind of get yourself into track shape now, trying to have the best pro day that you can have. What's it like while some of your Marist teammates, the Marist football team, they're starting to get ready for the season, and here you are, getting ready for a pro day.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different kind of training that goes on between the two. Training for at Marist, for spring ball, which they are doing now, and training down here. It's a different ball game. A lot of stuff I never knew, never imagined knowing, but I think being down here, I'll be in the best possible shape for my pro day.
And do we have any idea, when and where your pro day will be at? I don't know if Marist is going to be having one. Do you have any plans on participating in any other university's pro day or anything like that?
Yeah, actually I'll be at Fordham's pro day, which is March 10th. And then also Syracuse's pro day, which hasn't been set the date, but I'll be at both of those. Okay, nice. That's obviously very, very big. Fordham has had some really nice prospects come out over the last few years as well. I know they have a very highly thought about offensive lineman coming out and obviously Syracuse, one of the bigger universities in the New York area. Definitely great to hear, and we'll definitely keep tabs on that. Now, I do have to ask, what are your goals for your pro day? I mean, what are some of the numbers that you'd like to put up? I mean, I'm looking to run, around a 4.40, and then a sub-4 shuttle. But that'll come with time training down here. But along with that, just really perfecting my route, so when we do the drills, I'll be crisp and catching every ball, running every route as best I can.
Yeah, and obviously that 40 time is something that's looked at more than any other time or measurement in the combine or pro days. So obviously, being a small school guy as well, it'll be big for you to hit a 4.40 like your goal is. And I do see that the Marist Athletics website has you listed at 5'10", 190 pounds. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct.
All right, great. And you know what, Matt? We're going to finish this interview off with something that I like to call the 2-minute drill. Some of these questions will be football related, and some will just be random questions that can be pretty much just about anything. You ready to knock some of these out?
Yep.
All right. We'll start off with, what is your favorite TV show and movie?
Favorite TV show, I'd have to say, is probably Family Guy. Favorite movie, Inception.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Now, obviously, we already talked about how you're starting to learn some things from Wes Welker and Kelly Washington down there in Florida. Who would you say you model your game after?
Honestly, probably Julian Edelman, just because his knack for the ball, his route running, his quickness. I definitely relate to him the most.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's amazing to see what he's been able to do at wide receiver in the NFL after playing quarterback at the collegiate level. So he also had to make that transition, although you made it from high school to college, from running back to wide receiver. So he's another guy that had to make that transition to wide receiver. If you had a plane ticket to travel anywhere you wanted, a free round trip, where are you going? Where are you headed?
Probably Italy, because actually one of my best friends, Louis Catrone, is going to be playing in the Italian Football League next season. So I mean, probably Italy would be one of the destinations I would love to go to.
Okay, and I got to say that name sounds familiar. Was he a part of the Marist football team by any chance? Was he a
he was
fullback,
he
running
back? Yep.
Okay.
Yep, fullback, running back at Marist.
Okay, sounds good. So we got Marist represented in the Italian Football League. What's that?
Yeah, you guys could check out his tape if you're interested.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will certainly be checking that out. And just a few more questions for you, Matt, and then I'll let you go. I really do appreciate your time. Here's probably one of my favorite questions I ask to prospects, wide receivers, of course. If you could go one-on-one with any defensive back currently playing in the NFL, who would that be?
It'd have to be Josh Norman, just because he's right now one of the best. Definitely one of the best, and if you can route him up and score on him, that'd be huge in publicity and confidence.
Oh, no doubt about it. I think Josh Norman and Richard Sherman are the two top answers that I get, and obviously they are two of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, and they're obviously two of the top talkers in the NFL, which leads me to ask, are you a talker as well? I mean, when you make a play on a cornerback, are you jabbing at him?
No, I kind of let my play do the talking. I'm not too much of a jabber, but if I make a good play, they see for it themselves. I don't really have to speak on that.
All right. Well, speaking of Josh Norman, we do know who the two teams will be playing in Super Bowl 50. It will be Josh Norman's Carolina Panthers taking on the Denver Broncos. I got to get a prediction from you, man.
I'm definitely gonna have to go with the Panthers. They look too good right now. They almost look unbeatable. So I don't think the Broncos have enough to beat them.
Yeah, you know what? I got to agree with you. And ever since we've found out about the Super Bowl 50 matchup, since it's been official, Broncos and Panthers, it's been Panthers over the Broncos 3-0 so far from these prospect interviews. You make it 3-0 Panthers. And final question for you, Matt. Let's say we got all 32 NFL general managers lined up and listening to this very interview. Why should they want the wide receiver out of Marist College, Matt Tralli, a part of their team?
I think because I bring what Julian Edelman brings to the game, and you can see what he's done. I think just my quickness and my mismatches, in the slot position could definitely help out, any of the 32 teams that are interested in a wide receiver.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, Matt, I really do appreciate you taking some time this evening. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, kind of unveiling your story and talking about your experience at Marist College and what you've been up to the last few months as you, grind it out. And I'm really wishing you all the best as you get set for the 2016 NFL Draft.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Chris.